I know what you're thinking. Clickbait. Clickbait, there it is. That's just clickbait. There's nobody who can tell me a proven formula how to make millions in the stock market. Stay with me. I think by the end of this video, you'll change your mind. You'll say, he's got something there. Maybe I should look into this deeper. First of all, though, I need to protect myself. I'm not your financial advisor. I'll be right with you, and I'll give you my formula.
Best of Us Investors presents Carrie Griegmeyer.
I believe that the stock market is predictable. I believe that if I dig deep enough, I can tell you what's going to happen in the future. And when I talk about the future, I'm not talking about this afternoon or tomorrow or the next week. I'm talking about in 3 to 5 years. I know what is going to happen because I can anticipate it based upon the events that are happening around me. And then all I have to do is figure out the companies that are going to facilitate the change in the future. I did an interview last year with Jim Rogers. He's Google him, figure out who he is. He made the statement that has stuck with me ever since, and it is the secret to making money in the stock market is to identify undervalued stocks before the market recognizes their value. What creates an undervalued stock? I believe it is a change, something that changes the world that you live in. And I think I can show you a repetitive number of changes that if you were aware of them, if you were conscious of them, and you dug and you found out this thing's changing, so who's going to facilitate that change? Who's working hardest to make this change happen for the betterment of society? And how can I invest in them? If you can do that, you can then become a multimillionaire. And I'll show you exactly how it happened. And let's start with what is the biggest change that has happened in your life today. I would contend that the biggest change in our lives up until 2020, prior to that, was the digital revolution. It's made this possible. It's made everything that you do, from the phone that you use, to the videos that you watch, to the movies that you stream, to your social media, it's what made it possible. So if you had seen it and seen it coming and figured out how it was going to be financed, might you have bought into it and then profited from it? Well, that's the secret formula. And I have created a chart. I do it on tradingviews.com. You will find a link in it to here, and I would encourage you to duplicate my chart. If you've been to my channel before, you've seen this chart. I want to explain it in depth and where I think it can take us to make the next millions in the stock market. So let's go to the chart. Let me explain it one more time, and then let me tell you how I'm going to use it and how I can prove to you this will make you a millionaire. Let's go do that. Okay, if you've been to my channel before, you've probably seen this chart that I've created on tradingviews.com. I'd encourage you to duplicate this. Go into the description and you'll see a link to TradingViews, and you can get a discount on this. I believe, and if you've been to my channel, you know I believe that the stock market is driven by two things. First, events, things that happen in our world to change our world, and then you need to only identify the companies that are going to facilitate that change, and then the liquidity to promote and to pay for those changes. And that's basically financed by governments around the world. The first event that I mention is that of coming off of the gold standard. Didn't see a whole lot happen then. The second was the internet revolution, followed then by the e-commerce revolution, followed then by the social media and mobile phone revolution, then more recently, the EV revolution, followed by big data, artificial intelligence, and then we come to current date, and I believe the market will be driven over the short term by the Delta variant, by the Chinese bubble, the broken supply chain, and inflation. Those are short-term changes. But if I can identify the changes that are going to happen and then put myself in a position to benefit from them, I can anticipate where the market is going. Now, beyond that, I think the next era that we have to face is the healthcare revolution, which will be similar to the EV, the social media, and the e-commerce and the internet revolution. So if I can anticipate these changes, healthcare, manufacturing coming back to the United States, and how AI tech is going to affect us in our national security situation, I can predict the stocks that are going to make us millions of dollars. So let me show you exactly how that works and how it is proven. Let's go back to this internet revolution that happened somewhere back in 1990. And let's do a comparison. Let's go up here and say, okay, what if back then I had bought Apple stock? How would I have done relative to the general market? Here we are in 1990. I would have bought Apple stock at about the equivalent of, 27 cents. Today, I could sell that stock for $249. Well, now what if, again, I like to play what if. What if, in fact, I bought Apple, but I covered my bet and I bought another stock by the name of Microsoft? How would I have done then? Do you see where I'm going? I could have bought Microsoft in October of 1990 at the equivalent today of 1 cent and sold it again 2021 for $249. So you see, all I had to do this was anticipate what companies were going to benefit from the digital revolution. Well, what if then I came around and I said, what about the e-commerce revolution? How would that have worked out for me? Okay, let's assume I bought Amazon. And I bought Amazon in October of 2002. That would have been down here. And I would have bought Amazon at the equivalent price of $23, and I would have sold it today for $3,288. You can see I would have outperformed the market. Okay? So do you see where I'm going on this? That all you have to do is understand what is the change that is coming and where do I need to invest on it. Let's bring it up a little bit closer to us and say, let's compare it to, how about this stock? You ever heard of it? It's called Tesla. How would that have changed the comparison? As you can see, Tesla's down here. Let me give you a little closer, bring it into a little more focus. This is how you would have compared to the normal market if you had anticipated this form of change. Okay? So my premise is, if I want to outperform the market, if I want to make millions of dollars in the market, I merely have to find out what are the companies that are going to facilitate the healthcare change? What are the companies that are going to facilitate bringing manufacturing back to the United States? What are the companies that are going to take artificial intelligence and bring it into my life? And then what are the companies that are going to give me the opportunities to take advantage of our recognition that our national security is in jeopardy. That's all I got to do to make money. Okay? It's not about what's happening tomorrow or what's happening today. It's about what's going to happen in the next 5 years, 10 years. I think it's healthcare. I think it's manufacturing, which would mean 3D printing and robotics. I think it's all kinds of tech companies that are going to take artificial intelligence and change your world. And we can talk more about that later. And then I think national security is a major issue. So let's talk about that a little bit more. And I really think if you will create this for yourself and visit it every day, and then read the Wall Street Journal every day and say, how does that relate to what I know has happened in the past? Let's talk some more about that. Okay, so in summary, if you had identified Microsoft as the company in 1990 and you had put $10,000 into it, you'd have right now $299 million after 31 years. And that's why Bill Gates is so damn rich, and he can do whatever he wants. If then at the same time, instead you had bought Apple, or in addition you had bought Apple, your 10,000 would have turned into 5.25 million. If then, as the e-commerce revolution started, and you in 2002 said, I think I'm going to put $10,000 into Amazon, you'd have paid $23 a share. Today, you could have sold that $10,000 or that $23 share for $3,288. And your $10,000 would be worth $1.42 million. Facebook, it's kind of surprising to me, your $10,000, if you invested in Facebook in 2012, would only be worth $160,000 today, 9 years later. And then the one that we all sing and dance about and brag about if we did it, and that is Tesla. If in October of 2018, you had bought at $15, $10,000 worth of it, you could have sold it today for $785, and your $10,000 would be worth $520,000. So that's the formula. All you have to do is identify the event. What's the next event? Well, I would contend that in my life, the most important event is not the digital revolution. It was replaced in March of 2020 by the coronavirus. It has changed the playing field. It has shown us that our healthcare system is broken, that we can never again allow anything like that happen again. These words were spoken back in July of 1944, just a few months before I was born, in Bretton Woods, when the Allies got together and said, what happened in Europe, Germany, Adolf Hitler, can never happen again. Those same conversations are being held right now relative to the coronavirus. People are saying this can never happen again. So what does that mean? That means that everyone will be putting every effort they have, every scientist, every scholar, to find out how we can stop a virus, a pandemic, from coming across our world again. What does that mean to you? You're not a scientist. You're not an academic. You're an investor. You need to recognize this is the change. You need to recognize that all the money in the world needed to make that change will be spent to make that change. So all you have to do is find the company that is going to facilitate that change. It's that simple. You are at the cusp of the most important event that is going to happen in 100 years. And all you got to do is find the company that is going to facilitate that change. Now, I think I have found them. I have about 7 companies that I own. I think it's up to 11 now, that I think are going to be big players in this. Now, how did I come across those companies? From this group of people right here. I have a group that I call my tribe, that we gather together at least once a week, and we talk about the markets, and we share our knowledge. I have a knowledge base. I read a lot. They have a knowledge base. I encourage them to read a lot. They tell me new books to read. They share their information. We did that just Friday afternoon. We do it every Friday afternoon. It's like a bunch of people sitting around a big table having beer and saying, have you thought about this? Now, if you have that in your life as an investor, and you have other people that you can interchange with, good for you. If you don't, come to Best of Us Investors. Give me your name, your email address, and then I'll invite you to join us. If we like you, we'll let you stay. If we don't, goodbye. So that's my formula. I don't think it's that complicated. It just requires a certain amount of knowledge to recognize what's happening, and then to figure out who the companies are that are going to facilitate this next big change, that are going to facilitate something comparable to the digital revolution, something comparable to the e-commerce revolution, something comparable to the social media and phone revolution, something comparable to the electric vehicle revolution. And I believe it's the healthcare revolution. And I think it's more important than all of these combined. Why do I think it's more important than the digital, the e-commerce, the social media, and the EV? Because it's going to save our lives. These things are about communication, making things easier to buy, and making it easier for me to show a picture of the dinner I had last night to my friends and family. This is about, or an electric vehicle. This is about saving my life. This is about, where's the book I read on lifespan? This is where I first learned about it, from David Sinclair, that if we can take the diseases out of our lives that kill us, we can live forever. Think about it. If you aren't going to die from heart disease, if you aren't going to die from cancer, if you aren't going to get Alzheimer's, what are you going to die from? The parts are going to wear out. Well, they're working on that too. They're raising hearts and lungs and livers in pigs up in Tennessee so that they do have spare parts. Well, it isn't that difficult. Just figure out what's coming next. Lifespan. Lifespan. That's what's coming next. Who's going to facilitate it? Who's going to make it possible? Gather a group of people together, thousands, and work together to figure out who's going to make this possible. And you and I will become multimillionaires because we are at the cusp of the biggest change in the world we live in, as long as the world has been in existence. It's your cherry to pick. Okay, that's what I'm thinking about. What are you thinking about? Let's talk again tomorrow.